Hello and welcome back to our online English class. So today we are going to do lessons D and E. So go ahead and open your student's book to page 128. Page 128. Okay, so let's take a look at exercise 1 before you read. So before we read this article, we're going to look at this picture. It looks like it's actually a postcard. So, what do you see on the postcard? What do you see? So take some time to answer that question. Okay, let me change it to one page and zoom in a little bit. Okay. So, you might say, I see an island, or you can say there is an island. And if you recognize the city, you might say, this is an island off of San Francisco, or an island in the middle of San Francisco Bay. Or you might know exactly what this island is, and you might say, this is Alcatraz. Alcatraz. Okay? And if you know what Alcatraz is, or if you don't know what Alcatraz is, it is a prison, or it used to be a prison, a very famous prison actually. And if you look at number 2, it says, would you like to visit this place? Why or why not? Okay? And many of you have probably already visited Alcatraz before. So you might say, I have already visited Alcatraz. Or you might say, I would like to visit Alcatraz. I would like to visit this place. Or maybe you wouldn't. So you can answer why or why not. You might say, I would like to visit Alcatraz because it is a very famous place, or because it is the most famous prison, or one of the most famous prisons. Or it used to be the most famous prison. Or you might say, I don't want to visit, or I would not like to visit this place because it is creepy. Or maybe for the same reason that some people want to visit, maybe you don't want to visit because it used to be a prison. So maybe you don't feel comfortable visiting this place. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the article now. Let's see. Okay. So it says, read the article from a tourist website. Okay. So I'm going to play the audio, and you can listen, or you can follow along as you listen. Let me just try something real quick. Okay. All right. So here we go.
Page 128. Exercise 2.
The Rock, San Francisco's biggest tourist attraction. Alcatraz, a small rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, was once the most famous prison in the United States. For a period of 29 years, from 1934 to 1963, over 1,500 dangerous criminals lived in the prison's 378 cells. People believed that it was impossible to escape from Alcatraz Island. However, in 1962, 2 brothers, John and Clarence Anglin, and another man named Frank Morris, escaped on a raft made of raincoats. A famous movie, Escape from Alcatraz, tells this amazing story. Other famous prisoners who lived on the island included Al Capone, the gangster, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Alcatraz prison closed in 1963. The island became a national park, and since then it has been a major attraction for tourists from all over the world. These days, many people call Alcatraz by its popular name, The Rock. In the summer, It is wise to buy tickets to the island in advance because the ferries sell out. Evening tours are less crowded. The admission prices listed include the ferry, tickets, and an audio tour. General admission. Adults 18 to 61, $45.25 for a day tour and $52.25 for an evening tour. Children 5 to 11, $31 for a day tour and $34.20 for an evening tour. Seniors 62 or older, $43.25 for a day tour and $49.25 for an evening tour.
Okay. Now, in the listening, he said children 5 to 11, but it actually says 5 to 17. Now, there are actually many places that have children's rates for children who are 5 to 11 or 5 to 12, because usually when you are 13 years old, then you are considered a teenager, which is still a child, but for admission rates, you often see rates for children who are 12 and under or 11 and under. But in this case, it seems that you are considered a child if you are under 18 years old. As you know, in the United States, an adult is 18 or over. Okay? And then senior rates also might be different depending on where you go. Some senior rates start at 65 and up. Okay? And you heard the man say 62 or over. Some places you might hear people say 62 and up, or 62 and over, so or 62 and above. So there are lots of ways that you can read this 62 plus. So you can say or over, or above, and over, and above. So those are common ways to say this this number and the plus. Okay. And then you also heard him say the price for a day tour and this price for an evening tour. So he used the singular form. So when you use the singular form, you have to use a or an. So for a day tour, for an evening tour. But you could also say $45.25 for day tours. And then you could also say $52.25 for evening tours. So you can use both the plural or the singular forms. But just make sure if you use the singular forms, you have to use the an article. So a or an. And if you use the plural form, of course, you have to add the s. Okay. So I also want you to look at this note. It says words between commas sometimes explain the words before them. So, for example, for a period of 29 years, and then you can see a comma here, and then another comma here. So, from 1934 to 1963. So you can see this phrase between commas. Here's the first comma, and here's the second comma. So this phrase explains the words before them. So from 1934 to 1963 explains the period of 29 years. Okay? So I want you to look back at the article. Now you can scan it. Scan means look quickly. You don't have to read everything again. But scan it and look for places where you see two commas and a phrase between them. Okay? Not all of them, but some of them are, or some of them describe the words before them. So you can pause the video if you want and take a look, and then resume or continue the video when you're finished. Okay? Okay, so here is the first one actually. Alcatraz, a small rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, was once the most famous prison in the United States. So I know there's another comma here, but this comma is a little bit different. So this phrase, a small rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, this phrase is between this comma and this comma, and it explains Alcatraz. So this phrase is describing Alcatraz. Okay, so you could also just say Alcatraz was once the most famous prison in the United States. But we often see a phrase that describes what comes before it. Okay, and as I mentioned, this comma is not the same thing. This comma is actually just separating the two adjectives. So there are two adjectives, small and rocky. So when we use 2 or 3 adjectives, we need to put commas in between them. Okay, let's see. And of course, here's the other one from the example. Here, as you can see here. And then there's another one here. 2 brothers, comma, John and Clarence Anglin, comma. So John and Clarence Anglin describe the 2 brothers. Okay. Now I want you to be careful though, because this one in 1962 is also between 2 commas, but it does not describe however. Okay. In this case, we need to just use a comma after the transition word however. And then also in 1962, comma, this is another transition word or phrase. In 1962, then we have to put a comma, okay? Just like when we say, just like when we use after and before clauses. Like if we use before she went to bed, comma, she brushed her teeth. So it's similar to that kind of phrase. So these 2 commas are not the same function as these 2 commas here. Okay, so just make sure you know the difference. And then let's see. Here's another one. So escape from Alcatraz. There are 2 commas here, and this phrase actually it's a title that describes a famous movie. Okay, and let's see. Here's another one. So the gangster is between 2 commas. This comma and this comma. And the gangster describes Al Capone. And then here's another one. Actually, there's no comma at the end here, but the Birdman of Alcatraz also describes Robert Stroud. Okay, so I think that might be it. There are so many commas throughout the whole article, but just keep in mind that there are some commas that are between, there are some phrases that are between 2 commas which describe the words before them. Okay, so now we are going to look at the questions on the next page, page 129. Okay, so as you have already done many times before, I want you to answer these questions in a complete sentence. Okay, so finish exercise A. You can pause the video and you can continue when you are finished. Okay, so complete sentences. Okay, so let's look at number 1. What is the main topic of this article? Okay, so you might say the main topic of this article is about San Francisco's biggest tourist attraction. Or you might say the main topic of this article is about Alcatraz. That's fine too. Or you might say, you could use the title as well. You can just say the main topic of this article is The Rock, comma, San Francisco's biggest tourist attraction. Okay, so a main topic and a main idea are very similar, but topic is usually just a short phrase, or even it can just be one word. But a main idea is usually a sentence. It's a complete thought. Okay, let's look at number 2. What was Alcatraz in the past? So you could say Alcatraz was a prison, okay? Or you could say Alcatraz was once the most famous prison in the United States, okay? And then number 3, why did dangerous criminals go to Alcatraz? So you could say dangerous criminals went to Alcatraz because people believed that it was impossible to escape. Okay, or you can include from there or from Alcatraz Island. Okay, so dangerous criminals went to Alcatraz because people believed it was impossible to escape. Okay, and then number 4. According to the article, why was the escape in 1962 surprising? Okay, and for number 4, it's actually very similar to number 3. You could say, according to the article, people believed that it was impossible to escape from Alcatraz Island. Okay, or you could say that sentence and include how they escaped. You could say people believed that it was impossible to escape from Alcatraz Island, but 3 men escaped on a raft made of raincoats. Okay, and that's also very surprising. They made a raft from raincoats. So you could include that in your sentence as well. And then number 5, underline the word major in the second paragraph. So the second paragraph is right here, and the word major is right here. So major attraction. What do you think this word means in this article? And what words help you understand the meaning? Okay, so you might say major means big or important. Okay, and you could say that all over the world, or tourists from all over the world help me understand the meaning. Okay? Okay, and then number 6. How long has Alcatraz been a tourist attraction? Okay, so you can see the information here that Alcatraz closed in 1963. So now it is 2020, which means that Alcatraz has been a tourist attraction for 57 years. Okay, Alcatraz has been a tourist attraction for 57 years. Okay, and then number 7, Maria and her 2 sons, 11 and 13 years old, want to go to Alcatraz during the day. How much will this cost them? Okay, so keep in mind that cost is used as a verb in this case. It can also be used as a noun, but in this case, it is used as a verb. Okay, so you can say, this will cost them, and then we have to do the math. So Maria is an adult, so of course, for her, the price will be $45.25 because they are going during the day. And then she has 2 sons. One is 11 and one is 13. So both of them are considered children. So 31 plus 31 is 62. And then 62 plus 45, 25 is 107.25. So we can say this will cost them 107.25. Now that's the short way to say it. But if you want to say dollars and cents, then you can say this will cost them $107.25. Okay? Now sometimes I hear people say $107.25, but that's not correct. 25 is not a full dollar. It's cents. It's part of a dollar. So you have to say $107.25. Okay? And then number 8. Why do you think Alcatraz is a popular tourist attraction? So, this is up to you. There's no correct answer or wrong answer, but you might say, I think Alcatraz is a popular tourist attraction because many famous and dangerous criminals used to live there. Okay? I think Alcatraz is a popular tourist attraction because it was once the most famous prison in the United States. Okay, so it's up to you, and maybe you have a different reason because you actually visited there before. So just any answer is probably fine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to part 2. So go to part 2 of this video.